It starts in the kitchen at the end of the day. There's no way to change your body unless you're eating within the correct caloric ranges. What is up, guys? Welcome to Performance Talks. I'm Jake Jones, owner of TJE Performance. I am very excited to be doing episode 1 of this podcast. I've always wanted to talk on a podcast and just kind of spread knowledge about what I love in the fitness industry and about how to change the body because so many people are interested in it. And let's get going. I am going to start with basically just macronutrients and a very simple way to track your calories without any sort of app or anything like that and how to count calories. So starting with macronutrients. Actually, I'm going to take a step back real quick. I really believe that changing the body starts in the kitchen. As important as proper training is and exercises and doing your cardio and everything to looking good, it really does depend on eating right. It starts in the kitchen at the end of the day. There's no way to change your body unless you're eating within the correct caloric ranges. And that's going to start with understanding basic macronutrients and also being able to count your calories. So, there are 3 types of macronutrients. You're going to have your carbohydrates, which are your primary energy source. You're going to have your proteins, and then you're going to have your fats. So, starting with carbohydrates, there are 2 types. There's simple carbohydrates. They're also known as sugars. You're going to find them in fruits, honey, milk. They're really quick bursts of energy for the body. And then you have complex carbohydrates. These are like starches and fiber found in foods like grains and vegetables. They provide sustained energy and are beneficial for digestive health. Now, your complex carbohydrates are really important, in my opinion, to consume before you work out. Just so you have the energy and you aren't like crashing throughout your workouts. It really depends on the diet approach you're taking. There are different diets. A lot of people are scared to eat high carb. I personally think carbs are super important to building muscle, but I'll get into that in later episodes for sure. I kind of love Mike Mentzer's he's an old school bodybuilder, his methods on eating carbs. But next we have proteins. Proteins are essential for the repair of muscles. If you're working out a lot, you're tearing a lot of muscle down. Proteins essentially help rebuild that tissue. And basically, proteins are built up of amino acids, which is why a lot of people will take amino acids while they're working out. And good sources of protein are, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, dairy, and nuts. Nuts also have a lot of fat in them sometimes, so be careful there. But that leads us straight into fats, actually. So we have saturated fats, unsaturated fats, and trans fats. Now, there are little subdivisions of these that can be kind of subcategorized after that, but I'm not going to go into those today. Fats themselves are just energy-dense nutrients that provide a long-lasting source of energy. Now, saturated fats are found in animal products and some plant oils. These fats are typically solid at room temperature and are associated with increased risk of heart disease. And then you have your unsaturated fats, which a lot of people call them their healthy fats. And those are generally considered healthier and are found in foods like olive oil, avocados, nuts, and fatty fish. You're going to get your omega-3s and omega-6 fatty acids from polyunsaturated fats, which is one of the subcategories I was talking about of unsaturated fats. Lastly, we have trans fats, which are artificially produced fats through hydrogenation. Now, you find these in processed foods, and it's honestly why America has such a bad obesity problem. It puts a lot of people at high risk of heart disease, and it's just, I would definitely try to stay away from trans fat as much as possible. They're really not good for the body. So that's a basic real understanding of macronutrients. It's really not complex if you're just looking at it to understand the basics. Now, counting calories can be really difficult, to be honest. And a lot of people, and I honestly love apps like MyFitnessPal and stuff. I have all my clients on MyFitnessPal, and I can actually see all their MyFitnessPals, which helps me a lot just to be able to adjust their calories. But what happens if your phone's dead or something like that and you still want to stay on track? Yes, you can always charge it later. Basically, an easy way to track, and this is all approximate. So for your carbs and your proteins, per gram, you'll multiply that number by 4, and that'll give you the number of calories it is. To give you an example of this, if something is 30 grams in carbs, then you would 30 times 4 is 120, so there'd be 120 calories out of those 30 grams of carbs. And this applies to proteins too, so 30 grams of protein equals 120 calories as well. And that's all approximate. It's not the exact, but it is extremely close. Now, fats are the most caloric dense out of the three macronutrients, and they're approximately 9 times per gram to get the caloric. So if you have 30 grams of fats, you're going to get about 270 calories out of that, and that is still approximate, but obviously it is a lot more than and or than carbs and proteins. Now, I am just going to mention this because I think it's pretty interesting. Alcohol isn't a macronutrient, but alcohol does contain 7 calories per gram. So in 30 grams of alcohol, you are consuming 210 calories, which really isn't much alcohol, to be honest, especially if you're going out with friends for like an entire night. So as a 23-year-old, I really don't try to drink at all. I try to avoid it, especially with my career choice being in bodybuilding. But I love what I do, and I just don't see it. The extra calories from the alcohol is worth it. It's also horrible. It shuts down your body, and I'll go into that in a later podcast for sure, breaking down the true effects of alcohol in the body. But I really appreciate everyone watching this right now. That's really all I got for you today. I'm keeping it really short. I was super nervous to do this. I've put it off for like a year and a half. If you learned anything, please subscribe if you're on YouTube. Subscribe if you're on Spotify or podcasts. I don't really know what I'm going to be able to upload it to yet, but this is just the beginning, and I hope to keep bringing you guys knowledge and just making it easy and having fun with it, to be honest. Thank you.